Djehuty, 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 Nupu Djehuty, Nupu Djehuty, Nupu Djehuty, Nupu Djehuty, Nupu, 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 Nupu Djehuty, Nupu, 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 Nupu Djehuty, Dua Shasheta, Dua Shasheta, Dua Shasheta, Dua Shasheta, Dua, 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 Dua Shasheta, Dua, 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 Dua Shasheta, Nupu Shasheta, Nupu Shasheta, Nupu Shasheta, Nupu Shasheta, Nupu, 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 Nupu Shasheta, Nupu, 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 Nupu Shasheta.
Ucha, good rising and great awakening. And welcome to tonight's episode of the KemeTones Cosmic Sound Healing Self-Care Healing Webinar Series for Sekhmet Alignment. Make sure everything is showing up and that you can hear me. Just let me know if you can hear me in the chat room, please. Okay, it looks like we're all right. Camera. All right. Yeah, so here we are with the KemeTones Cosmic Sound Healing Self-Care Webinar Series on the Sekhmet Alignment. And for those of you who are just joining us for the first time in our audience or on the replay, KemeTones is a sound healing system that uses Accutonics tuning forks. Accutonics tuning forks are tuning forks that are tuned to the planetary vibrations based on Kepler's calculations, who we know studied in ancient Kemet. Accutonics is similar to acupuncture, only we use sound instead of needles. It's based on traditional Chinese medicine principles of acupuncture. KemeTones takes this one step further by corresponding each planetary frequency, each planetary correspondence with its corresponding cosmic force, Neteru, ancestor, Orisha, etc. HeruScopes is a 13-month sidereal astrology system that's based on Kemetic principles and archetypes. Sidereal astrology is based on the actual motion of the sun and the planets through the constellations. The Western system that we're familiar with has 12 constellations and simply represents the orbital motion of the Earth around the sun, which they divided into 12 equal segments and named each section after a constellation. In reality, the sun and the planets do not stay in each constellation the equal number of days, and time moves forward one day every 70 years due to the precession of the equinox. And so each constellation is off by about a month, and each constellation or each sign is not the same number of days long. And there's a 13th constellation called Ophiuchus, which is located between Scorpio and Sagittarius. And it's the only constellation in the sky that represents the life of an actual human being, and that human being is the life of Imhotep, who we will be talking about tonight during HeruScopes. My name is Tachia Ahmet El-Ma'at. I'm originally from Chicago. I lived in Austin, Texas for like 20 years. And then I'm currently living in Round Valley, California, Chicago, Illinois, and soon to be living part-time in Port Antonio, Jamaica. I studied astronomy in grad school, physics in undergrad, and after some traumatic events, I withdrew and became a homeschooling, home birthing, natural living, food co-op organizing, ultimate soccer mom, reggae artist, Kemetic yoga practitioner, and more. And I'm really thankful to be able to share my my research with you in this way. So every KemeTones session begins with a HeruScope. This is the HeruScope from the first episode of the Sekhmet alignment, when I first noticed all these planets were in the sign of Sekhmet, and these are the same cosmic forces in the myth of HetHeru and Djehuty. Djehuty, HetHeru, and Ra in the sign of Sekhmet. So we talked about that. Then the next week we saw how some of the planets are starting to shift. Mercury has moved into Aspolia, Jupiter is in Aspolia, and HetHeru is on her way, meaning that she had gotten into Sekhmet and now she's stepping out. And that is what we are learning in this series, is how to be HetHeru all this time, and then when you need to enter into Sekhmet, invoke Sekhmet, do the righteous act, and then step out rather than stay in that position. And if you're like me, you are timid and meek and shy to bring out Sekhmet, because once she's out, she could destroy. And so that's what I've been working on during this series, is getting more comfortable with my Sekhmet energy and not staying there for a long time. Then last week, I got all excited because things had really moved around a lot, and I couldn't figure out how they had moved so fast. And, you know, Mars was in Sekhmet, Venus had gone back to Kepra, Cancer, and I was really, like, not understanding how it could be like this when I wasn't feeling that. But then this week, in Mercury Retrograde, I noticed that I had the wrong year. I had next year, 2017. So that was my Mercury Retrograde joke. And so this is actually what it was last week, which makes a lot more sense. We have Mars over here in Ophiuchus, or Set, has become the healer, not the destroyer, not evil, wicked, vanity, anger, lust, jealousy, hypocrisy, all that, dishonesty, etc. Set is in the sign for healing and enlightenment. And then over here we had the moon. It was the new moon, so we had moon and sun in the same sign. And then all three of these planets had moved to Aspolia. Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter had moved to the sign of Virgo. So that really is what we experienced last week. And now this week, I'm really excited. We have, you know, these planets haven't changed much, so we're going to continue with the myth, the reading of the myth. But over here, I'm excited because we have Mars in Ophiuchus, and the moon has moved into Libra, which is, Sekhmet is in Ma'at. So Sekhmet deals with building a strong personality, a strong character. I invoke Sekhmet when I'm doing my paperwork and financing, library work, books, accounting, bookkeeping, filing, all those type of things. And she's also a master builder by the laws of sacred geometry, architect, engineering, astrology, astronomy, mathematics, pretty much the scientist. So I'm really excited about this alignment here, because we have Mars in Ophiuchus, which is the healer, and we're building a really strong personality that's based on the principles of Ma'at, which is really what we need to bring us through this type of energy work here with this Sekhmet alignment. All right. So let me just see if there's any questions or comments. Not at this time. Okay. Well, for those of you who are listening in, and the replay, if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them here on the YouTube page or my Facebook page. You can email me at cosmic@thechia.com, or there's lots of ways to get in touch with me if you have any questions. Okay. So, yeah, so we've been dealing with this energy here with HetHeru and Ra and Djehuty. And at the beginning, I played the recording of the song, Djehuty, but I'll just sing it one more time in case you are late getting on the call. Let's see here. Djehuty, 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 Kepra. Djehuty, 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 Kepra. Djehuty, 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 Kepra. Djehuty, 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 Kepra. And then we have Djehuty and Djehuty, so I'll just sing a shortened version of those two. Djehuty, 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 Djehuty. Napu, 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 Djehuty. Djehuty, 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 Djehuty. Dua, 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 Djehuty. Napu, 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 Djehuty. Yes, when we invoke the ancestors, we are awakening these cosmic forces within us. Ra is the cosmic force of creativity. HetHeru is the cosmic force of beauty and life force. And Djehuty is the cosmic force of intelligence. And Djehuty is the cosmic force of writing and the sciences. And there's Sekhmet in HetHeru. And so I'm going to sing the new song that I wrote, or that came through me 2 weeks ago, for balancing these cosmic forces, for not getting stuck. And I found out, for me, it's not about going back and forth between the two, but I'm starting with HetHeru, entering into Sekhmet, or bringing out Sekhmet, and then going back to HetHeru. So that is what I've learned during this week, doing this work. Okay. So the melody might be different every time, just so you know, in case you've heard it before. And you're saying, this is the same song, it's the same HeKau, it's the same intention, it's just a different day, a different energy, a different melody. Dua HetHeru, Dua Sekhmet, Dua HetHeru. Dua HetHeru, Dua Sekhmet, Dua HetHeru. Okay. All right, so now I wanted to talk a little bit about the Portal of Djehuty, which is open until September 22nd. And this is another way of looking at the Mercury Retrograde. In Western astrology, Mercury Retrograde is something that is feared, something that is dreaded, something that is avoided, something that is like in the shadows. We're told not to do certain things during the time of Mercury Retrograde. And one day, I think it was June of 2014, I got really fed up with that doomsday when it's Mercury Retrograde, because I had really been getting into HeruScopes. And I realized that when Mercury is retrograde, it's a window, it's an opening, and we have an opportunity to learn something, to get a message, to benefit. And so I just started having different experiences. Instead of not wanting to have communications during this time, or not wanting to do certain activities, this is the time that I do it. This is the time that I challenge relationships. This is the time that I really communicate how I feel. This is the time that I am honest, and I look for honesty in my communications with others. Where is my arrow? Okay. All right. So anyway, so this is the time for me to make changes. The time for me to make large purchases. The time for me to buy a new computer. And I embrace this period. And it's given me a totally different experience. Like right now I'm having a Portal of Djehuty experience for sure. It started on August 30th. So if you want more information on this new strategy, I have a Mercury Retrograde page at tachia.com, both the old website and the new site. I have Mercury Retrograde information. So that is at the old website. And then here at the new website, if you just go to tachia.com, Portal of Djehuty, they'll show up for sure. And then I have more information on how to have a different attitude or a different approach. If your computer crashes and you need to buy a new computer, then great, you needed a new computer and now you're getting one. If you drop your cell phone in the toilet, then embrace the adversity and look for the gift. Now you're getting a new phone. So it's really just a different perspective. So anyway, here is the other page at tachia.com. This is the article from earlier in the year. The other ones were from 2014. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so here is the other article on Portal of Djehuty Opening. So, yeah, okay. So that is the energy that we're dealing with right now. We have the Portal of Djehuty is open. We have the, we're still dealing with the Sekhmet alignment over here. And then we have this wonderful alignment with Mars in Ophiuchus and the Moon in Ma'at. All right. All right. So again, the Portal of Djehuty is open till September 22nd, and the sun is still in sidereal Leo for another week. So we'll wrap up this Sekhmet alignment next week. But today we're mostly, in our healing session, we're going to be mostly dealing with the Djehuty vibration, because the healing wisdom of Djehuty is what brought Sekhmet back to her state of remembering who she really is. And that is what we all need right now. So we're going to transition into the teaching segment of the program. We are still reading from the gloss. Oh, my goodness. Reading from the gloss from the story of HetHeru and Djehuty. And if you need a refresher, because the gloss is the commentary by Sebama, Dr. Mwada Ashby. Ra sent HetHeru to earth to deal with the unrighteous and the ignorant, evil people. In other words, slaughtering them, killing them. And she got so comfortable with her work, and she was really good at it, she decided to just stay in her form of Sekhmet, the lioness, warrior goddess. And so Ra sent Djehuty to earth, and Djehuty appeared to her in the form of a baboon and shared some stories and wisdom with her that enabled her to bring her back to her memory, back to her true self, and return to the kingdom of Ra. And this is something that happens to all of us, like when we lose our temper or, you know, road rage. There's lots of times when it happens. And then there's also the cases where we need to bring out Sekhmet for our protection, or protection of our children, or our property, or our possessions. You know, we may not feel comfortable in that position, but sometimes we have to bring her out. So that's what my focus has been on this alignment. I think what's really interesting is how next year we have this alignment of the same planets in Sekhmet. I wonder if it's an annual thing. So that's something I need to make a note of and try to remember. Okay, so here's the cover of the book by Dr. Mwada Ashby, The Glorious Light Meditation, the oldest meditation system in history from ancient Kemet. And the story of HetHeru and Djehuty is contained in this booklet. So this is a page from the book that has the image of HetHeru and Djehuty, Lord Djehuty in this form of the ibis, his principal form, and then also in the form of the baboon. Okay, so now we're going to switch over to the actual ebook. And again, if you have any questions, just interrupt me or send me a message. See if this will go. Make sure I'm showing it. I did that one time. I didn't show the book. There we go. See, like right then when I was talking about the web page, I didn't have the page open. So I apologize for that. But here, let me just show you where that page is now. Basically, I have two websites, chia.com, and one of them is newday.chia.com, and the other one is WordPress. But if you just did a Google search for Portal of Djehuty Opening and then Chia, there's nobody else talking about this right now. So both websites will show up in the Google search engine like this. Well, that's the search engine result for one of the websites. Here's the here. If you just do a Google search for just Portal of Djehuty, I didn't even type my name in. It came up. So if you want to find out more about it, please visit those websites. I wonder what was showing on the screen if that wasn't showing on the screen. Okay, so back to the book. Nope. All right, let's see if I can make this full. There we go. Okay. So yeah, so Djehuty shared with HetHeru 4 parables, and these is the commentary on those teachings by Dr. Muad Ashby. Okay. The first parable imparted the understanding of Ma'at, or truth, balance, cause, and effect, righteous action, Ari, and the glory of the divine. Ma'at is the order, justice, and righteousness of the universe. It is the law of cause and effect set up by the divine to maintain harmony in the universe. Any action performed will bring a reaction to the person performing the action. Thus, positive actions set up a positive karmic basis for positive occurrences in a person's life. Negative actions set up a negative karmic basis for negative occurrences to happen in a person's life. It may not be right away, but it will occur at some point in time. Therefore, it is important to hold pure thoughts and perform good deeds in order to promote goodness, peace, and harmony in your life. What you do comes back to you. This is the ancient Kemetic principle of Meshkenet. The principle of Meshkenet relates to what in popular culture is most commonly referred to as karma and reincarnation. Okay. Then there's a long section on that, which I highly recommend that you read when you have the time. Looking for the next section. Oh, here's an interesting. Let me go to this part. Following the first parable, Djehuty introduces the teachings related to the creation of the universe. He explains to HetHeru that the land of Kemet was created by her father Ra from a primeval ocean, which was formless in the beginning, and that is a land of many wonders and incomparable beauty. This description is a mystical way of relating the nature of creation and the glory of the entity who created it. Then Djehuty begins to show her that the splendor of the Supreme Being is also her own splendor and glory. He begins to relate her to the divine glory that is latent within herself and to bolster her pride in her own heritage. He imparts to her the feeling of goodness that is the divine. He relates how her absence left a great void in creation, causing pain and sorrow to all people. Every life form has a place in creation. Also, looks like I lost my page. Just give me a minute. I lost my page. This mouse is very active. Oh, there we go. Also, every life form is loved by God, who manifests His love in the form of relatives, acquaintances, and nature itself. So all people have a purpose in life, and their existence is meaningful. Also, they are cared for by the Divine Self in various forms. The highest purpose is to discover your true identity and find your own place, which has been decreed for you by the Supreme Divinity. And then we have a section on the psychomythology of the creation. Oh, this is interesting. Let me read this part. The diagram above oh, it's such a good story. I wish I could read all of it. I'll read this part since we're talking about Djehuty. Djehuty is the embodiment of patience and the wellspring of parables, mystical wisdom teaching. So he wisely humbles himself and begs for mercy. He seemingly submits to her power and does not attempt to confront it, since he is no match for her might. At the same time, he cleverly captivates her attention away from anger and violence and channels her feelings towards interest in another mystical parable. An important point in dealing with a dull mind is how the negative thoughts and feelings are handled. It is important to view the negative thoughts and feelings as well as the adverse conditions of life as challenges to overcome, instead of as the feeling that one is a victim of negativity from others or from one's own mistakes. The second parable. The second parable reinforces the teaching of Ra's omniscience. HetHeru was able to develop devotion towards the divine. Devotion towards the divine is an important development in spiritual life. It means channeling one's emotions towards what is true, beautiful, and good, and turning away from that which is erroneous, illusory, and the source of pain and sorrow in life. So devotion to God means turning away from the sentimental desires of the ego and turning the feelings towards the divine. Devotion and wisdom are closely related. Each fulfills the other, and together they lead a spiritual aspirant to discover the higher self. In order to love something, you must learn about it. The divine self is no exception. The blossoming devotion in HetHeru's heart, love for God, and the teaching of Djehuty about the wisdom of the self allowed HetHeru to calm down and to see the infinite glory of the divine self. His teachings revealed the hierarchical order of living beings in creation, and also the idea that even the most powerful living beings are all under the control of and ultimately answer to the Supreme Self. Djehuty presents the character of the ancient Egyptian Sefer, the griffin, in the role of divine avenger, or the divinity who enforces the divine law. The griffin is a mythological animal encompassing the body of a lion, the head and wings of a hawk, the tail of a lion or a serpent. In legends from India, the Far East, and ancient Scythia, griffins were known as the guardians of treasures and mines. In Greek mythology, they drew the carriage or chariot of the sun and were the guardians of gold treasures. In this parable, the Sefer represents the supreme instrument or power of the divine. In reality, this is HetHeru's true identity as the Eye of Ra. This is why Djehuty created an elaborate story detailing the hierarchy of creatures and showing how none can escape from the power of the Sefer. So, in a subtle and indirect way, he is teaching her about herself throughout the story. At the end of the parable, he reveals to her that she has the same power, and that she herself is the Eye of Ra, which has power over all creatures. Thus, he introduces her to her own higher nature in a clever and artistic manner. Well, that gave me an idea. I've been really putting a lot of energy into my social media posts, and sometimes I find myself speaking to, quote-unquote, the white people, the oppressive, privileged people who think they're superior. And this really gave me an idea on how to talk to them, tell parables, and teaching them about themselves throughout the story or throughout the song. So that I'm going to do that next time. The third parable has important implications for spiritual life. HetHeru has now turned away from the pit of negativity, the dull state of mind, but she is not free from the delusion of ignorance which is rooted deep within her heart. still remains in the form of a wildcat, and even though she has had certain glimpses of the divine glory of her higher self, she is still partially entangled in the lower self as well. This is the predicament of many people. They have some inkling of their higher spiritual essence, but they are caught up in the egoism which still remains in the form of ignorance, lower desires, and wrong thinking. It must be cleansed from their mind. This state is known as agitation of mind. It is characterized by impure thoughts and feelings based on ignorance of the higher spirituality and on indulgence in egoistic feelings, selfishness, and individuality. When the mind is agitated, it cannot understand or feel clearly. The thoughts and desires are tainted with illusion and desire. This is why, when strong emotions and feelings take control of the mind cannot reason objectively. Likewise, when people are deeply involved in worldly activities with an egoistic intent, they are actually moving away from self-discovery and intensifying the illusions, distractions, and worldly desires in their minds. It is like going to the beach and staying at the surface, being aware only of the waves, and never going down below the surface to experience the peace, calm, and homogeneous equanimity below. Conversely, when a person lives in accordance with the teachings and affirms the spiritual reality in all areas of life, working to promote harmony, peace, and truth in their life, they are moving closer to self-discovery. They may have an active life and still experience inner peace and the divine presence. This is the ideal. This is the balance that I am personally seeking. I am not really trying to become a monk or a recluse. I have a very active life, and I have experienced inner peace. I've experienced a divine presence, and I've even experienced abiding happiness. I got taken away from my abiding happiness when, for a few months, I forgot that the source of my happiness, the source of my abundance, the source of my joy is not in any person or any situation. The source of my abiding happiness is in the divine self, the divine light. And I forgot that when I was so happy, I was happy that my vision had manifested, and I forgot. And I got fixated on the actual manifestation rather than trying to stay in that vibration so that I could continuously manifest. And it took me, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. It took me 6 months to come back to where I was before my visions and desires had manifested. So, I hadn't really thought about it just now, but it's possible that this work on Sekhmet alignment helped me get back to that space of abiding happiness where I was just so happy that my vision had manifested. It didn't even matter to me if it only lasted a day. I manifested a phase of my, of my vision. And so now it's time to manifest the next phase and not get caught up in the illusoriness of the moment. Even though it's everything I've wanted, everything I've dreamed of, I cannot get attached because it can change in an instant. And so I just got to remain grateful that it happened. So that's really what I have learned this past week. It was a very painful lesson, but I got it. I got it. And it's teachings, I'm very grateful for these teachings. All right, there's one more parable, and then we'll move on to the self-care. Let me just see if there's any questions in the chat room before I move on to the final parable. Okay. Okay. No worries. Okay. Now, this is a very interesting section on controlling the mind. and Sema Yoga. Like I said, I will post this book, the link to the book, and I hope that you get a chance to read the book. It's been years since I read the whole book. I like I'm doing right now, I go and get bits and pieces. But to go through the whole book, I haven't done that in a while. Okay, the fourth parable relates to humility. Humility is a quality that should not be confused with humiliation. It is an advanced quality which allows a person to rise above the lower self by sublimating the negative aspects of the ego. Think about it. You may know people or may even recognize yourself acting in egoistic ways based on pride in your own physical prowess, strength, beauty, possessions, fame, etc. These egoistic patterns have been developed as you grew up in society and accepted its values which emphasize physical beauty, sexuality, fame, health, wealth, and so on. But if these values are correct, why is it that the people who have, excuse me, I'm waking up. When I'm yawning like this, I don't feel like I'm drowsy or bored or falling asleep. I interpret it as I'm getting more oxygen, I'm waking up. Why is it that the people who have the most money, fame, opportunity for sex, relations, plastic surgery, and notoriety in the world are not the happiest people in the world? Why is it that they are susceptible to the same failings, misfortunes, and calamities as all other people? There is a great illusion in popular society that most people follow without examining closely that there is some situation, possession, or person in the world that can bring them happiness. This is exactly what I was talking about. People have been searching for such an object since the beginning of time, without any success. HetHeru had searched for it in vain. Now she realized that what she was searching for was something she already had within herself. No person or living creature can escape Sekhmet, or the jaws of death. This must be clearly understood. Your ego is not a real part of your personality. It is an illusion which you are sustaining due to an error in understanding your true higher self. Your ego, meaning your personality, sense organs, physical body, and thoughts, are in reality transient aspects of yourself. They are instruments that the soul uses in order to have experiences in the world of time and space. They are not absolute realities. This is why at the time, let me have some more water. This is why at the time of death, the unenlightened soul sheds the personality and ego and moves on to other experiences. It will reincarnate at some point in the future and use a new ego personality, just as a person may change clothing. When you act in accordance with righteousness, you are also putting down the ego. When the ego is not given prominence in the personality, it becomes an instrument instead of an obstruction. It becomes a servant instead of a slave master, who forces a person to enter into situations and entanglements which at the beginning seem to promise happiness, but which later will lead to great pain and sorrow. Okay. I'll read a little from this section. Detachment from the ego should not be a hard concept to understand. Oh my goodness. Most people's concept of self is based on their identification with the ego. This is because the ego and its desires, longings, and beliefs are all that the person understands. However, spiritual practice allows a person to discover the underlying essence of the mind. This occurs to every person in the world every single day of their lives, albeit indirectly. When you go to sleep, you experience dreams, but at other times there are no dreams and no awareness of the world. What happens to your ego? It dissolves into your consciousness, just as a wave subsides into the ocean from which it arises. This reminds me of a chant that I learned from Sekhmet. about the noon, which is the ocean of consciousness from which everything arises. Every being, every object is but a wave in the ocean of divine consciousness. Nukanu ua, anut ua nue. Nukanu ua, anut ua nue. Which means something like that, like we are all one wave in the ocean of consciousness. When you wake up, you feel refreshed. You experience a transcendental feeling, but do not specifically remember what happened. What would happen if you were to cause the waves of thoughts and egoistic desires to subside while you were in the state of wakefulness? Okay, well, we're going to stop there before we're oversaturated. We just went over the gloss of the 4 parables of Djehuty that he shared with HetHeru on her path to spiritual enlightenment. Okay, so let's return to our presentation. We are done with the reading for today. And I'm going to return to our presentation now. And that would be the self-care session. I tried to post a video clip earlier today. Oh dear, let's change that. But my Wi-Fi connection is really slow, so I'll have to post it after this series while I'm waiting for this replay to upload. Uh-oh, need a little help here with these cords. I forgot to plug it in again. Yes, but sometimes, you know, my flowers and my plants in my garden, and I even met some other flowers. They talk to me. I didn't realize it at first. At first, I thought it was my imagination. One day, I was walking past the garden at the farmer's market, and these beautiful yellow, they look like echinacea flowers. Maybe they're, you know, black-eyed Susans. Let me get the camera open. But they were speaking to me, and they let me know that flowers are talking to me all the time. I wasn't aware that that's what was going on. And so ever since then, I must sound kind of crazy, right? Ever since then, I go and sit next to them whenever I can, and I've been able to communicate with flowers in my own garden since that happened. And so I'm really excited about this. And so recently, they've been me to take a course. Oh, you know, I don't know if my camera's working today. I've been having some trouble. Let's see if it's working. No. Oh dear. Do I have internet connection? Is this webinar even happening? Yes. Okay. But no camera, huh? Let's see if it'll work now. Huh. Well, it doesn't seem like it's working today. Mercury Retrograde. Huh. Okay. Try one more time. Okay, yeah, well, I got bumped off the call, and it looks like there's a problem with the video. So I will not be able to have the video of the healing session. But I'm still going to do it. Anyway, like I was saying, the flowers this morning, they asked me to come out, and so I did a chime session for the flowers in the garden today. So now I'm going to do one for myself. Even though you can't watch it this time, but you know what it looks like. So we always start grounding on the feet, either on the ankle or the ball of the foot, or both inside of the ankle. The other foot, other side. And for this session, we're going to be focusing mostly on Djehuty, the first eye, and the throat chakra. Being able to express our purpose and desires so that everything that we express is in alignment with Ma'at and with our purpose. So I'll just save the Sekhmet alignment for when I get to the extraordinary vessel. For now, I'm just going to focus on the throat chakra, the first eye, and the pineal gland. So for opening things, Portal of Djehuty Opening, that is the new moon and Mercury. So I have the new moon and Mercury here. Let me see if I can get this camera to work one more time. Hey, there it is. What do you know? Never give up. Okay. So I did the feet, grounding of the feet. Bigger. You can see the candle in the background, also for Sekhmet. I love candlelight. It's just so amazing. Oh, I don't want to block it. I'm going to block it. There we go. All right, that's it. Okay, so I already did the feet. Like I said, today I'm going to be focusing on the heart chakra, throat chakra, and the first eye. Yeah, the heart chakra, because that's where our desires are. We really want to express our desires and keep our heart open, you know, when it's time to come back. So, heart chakra. I'm a little concerned about this pyramid right in my head. So I'm opening my heart to communicate. Throat chakra. You do the throat chakra, you can do anywhere on the neck, and then also this little spot where the Adam's apple is in men. Women don't have Adam's apple. There's a little pocket there. And And then also you can go up your, like you want to express what's in your heart, so you can go up. And then here, these are the lung points. So this is so that we can express our sadness and grief without attachment. First side. Crown chakra. Crown chakra to receive energy more clearly, with more clarity, without attachment. But it doesn't mean to be like a cold, dead fish either. The pineal gland. You know what just came to my mind is this the indigenous movement. It's not a protest, it's a fight. I don't know if you've seen the video, to fight the pipeline across the Dakota. And it just dawned on me how it's in alignment with the Sekhmet energy and how they are coming together. You know, I have Lakota roots. I am Saponi, which is the Lakotas who went down the Mississippi. And today I did a little energy reading, and I think I'm going to go. I don't think I'm going to go. I'm intending to be there on Friday by the 9th. I hear that they're supposed to have some special decision on the whole thing by the 9th. So when I get off of this call, I'm going to be looking into seeing how I can go. Just go for a few days. And I'm asking anyone to see if they'll meet me there. I don't know anyone there personally, but I'm being called to go. I've been traveling to other indigenous parts of the world, where there's indigenous population, to help. And the community here is not really receptive to my message, which is why I go out. But I'm a warrior, and this is a war. So I'm looking into going. Okay, so there we opened up. And now we're going to, I think we're just going to go through all of the tones involved with Djehuty. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. So this is HetHeru. Simple. To remember to see the beauty path, to stay on the beauty path, to stay aware of who we truly are, without apology, without hesitation, without fear. I like one of the slogans they had, what is it? You can't drink oil, keep it in the soil. Then I saw where the bulldozers just bulldozed over the sacred mounds of our ancestors. They just bulldozed right through them. Then I heard that they had their dogs attacking people, and they bit like a chunk of the head of a little child and the belly of a pregnant woman. They let the dog bite the belly of a pregnant woman. So it's not a peaceful protest. It's not a demonstration. It's a war, because those idiots are planning to build a pipeline that goes across the sacred ground. And when there's a problem, it will be a problem, and it will destroy the land and the water. So it's basically genocide. So what we need to do is come up with a way with our Sekhmet, with Ra, our creativity, and our Sekhmet energy here, to really take control and overpower these oil corporations, where they're like, why isn't Obama doing anything? How much money is Obama making off of this deal? And then you think it's going to get better with Trump or Hillary? Like, this is very serious. Maybe I'm going to write a song and I can chant it while I'm in it. I've never been to the Dakotas. I've been to Mississippi. My grandmother's from. She's a relative that's Saponi. She was triracial. She was Saponi, African, and Caucasian. Triracial. A lot of people don't know that the Lakota, some Lakota went down to Mississippi and mixed with the slaves, free slaves, Europeans, to survive. Now, if I had more time, if I was doing a treatment on someone, I would do the high, mid, and low range frequencies. But for some reason, right now, I'm just doing the low. Because this is a really deep problem. And I'm focusing on solution. I was talking to some of the people. They had a protest here in town. Well, not a protest. They had a demonstration to support, I think 17 members from the tribal community out here in Round Valley went to the site, and so they were supporting them. And their prayer was that the people come home safely without getting hurt. And I said, well, that's not what the people that went there want. They're willing to risk their lives to save the water. Shouldn't that be what your focus is on in your prayers? And she was like, yeah, I guess so. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But that's me. I'm a warrior. If you're going to go to battle, you're not going there so you could come home safely. You're going there to take care of business. Right? I mean, it's war. It's horrible. But that's what it is. You don't, I don't know. Maybe that's too much Sekhmet. Yeah, I just did all these. Let me go back to the, try this, the mid-range frequency with a little lighter. Okay, let me rephrase that. Of course, we don't want anyone to be injured or to lose their life. But the purpose of the war is not to come home safely. The purpose of the war is to stop them from bulldozing and building that pipeline. And that is our prayers and our intention. Okay, so some other things that are very interesting going on. We had Mars in Chiron, and HeTheru is still in Pisces. So I'm going to do a little bit of that, and then we'll move on. I think this one I'm going to work on my solar plexus, where my courage, remain focused on healing and wellness, not death and destruction. Healing and wellness, not ego and selfishness and greed. Because I saw some of that in myself today, or yesterday when I was talking to one of my colleagues. I couldn't believe what was coming out of my mouth. I was like, oh my gosh, that is that. The Redeemer in the flow. Sometimes when you're doing a session, you don't really know exactly what you're going to do. You just know what tuning forks you're going to use. Just move. Okay. All right, I didn't choose the extraordinary vessels yet. Okay, so I'm going to go with Chang and Yang Wei. The Chang is the one that's connected to our ancestors. It's called the grandmother, grandchild extraordinary vessel, because we can deal with energetic imprints from our ancestors. And then the Yang Wei is the Xiao Yang pattern, when it's something that's inside of us that, like a virus or a toxic thought or a toxic habit or pattern, that we need to break. We need to eliminate it, get out of our system. So those are the two I've chosen for today, Chang and Yang Wei. I'm going to start with the Chang. Camera's backwards for me. There we go. This one down there. Oops, this one over here. Wait. This one. I'm going to start with Djehuty and Ra, because that is the basis of the relationship teaching. I haven't gotten my mouse thing fixed, so. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to do the Chang, and the intention is to dive into the portal of Djehuty, to open up to the teaching and wisdom of Djehuty, to assist me in learning how to master and balance the forces between HetHeru and Sekhmet, and how mastering that can help myself and others. When you use the high-frequency forks and extraordinary vessels, you don't touch the body, you just hold it over the point. Use this one. Just the middle one. Then HetHeru. And Sekhmet. Have the intention, that I have the confidence, the courage to speak my truth without any apologies. I'm not responsible for how someone reacts or responds to my truth. and trusting that Ma'at and Djehuty have written for me, or have written the words for me to speak. And I'm taking Ma'at actions, not doubting my actions. Oh, looks like someone joined us. And then back to HetHeru. Welcome. All right, going through the series. Now I will switch sides and do the one for the Yang Wei. This one here. And same thing on the other side. Okay, I don't know if you can see my foot position. This is kind of awkward, but it can be done. There we go. This is Djehuty and Ra. This is the combination for there's a block that's been in your system for a long time, or a toxin, or pathogen, or habit you can't kick. So the energies I've been working with for this alignment is getting better about pulling out my Sekhmet energy without fear and with total confidence, and then when my job is done, to return to the HetHeru energy and not be stuck in that vibration. So that's what this little treatment is about. And since the Portal of Djehuty is open right now, it's Mercury Retrograde, instead of cycling through all the forks, we're going to just stick with Djehuty and cycle through the forks, the other forks with the other hand. You can't see this other point on my foot right now, but it's the extraordinary vessels for the Yang Wei. And even if you don't have tuning forks, you can still do these self-care treatments with acupressure. You could use crystal stones, visualization. You could use Raseki. You could use toning. You're not limited just because you don't have tuning forks. And you can find these charts online, even if you've never been certified in KemeTones or Accutonic. You can still do your own self-care. You can't work on any other patients until you've been certified or trained. But if you're interested in these procedures, you can start working on yourself right away. You don't need, there's no certification, self-care certification. So Djehuty is with us every step of the way when we're taking this journey. And then we go back to HetHeru. And as always, when you're doing healing work on yourself, it also goes out into the universe. And you're working on yourself, your family, your community, your neighbors, your nation, your tribe, the entire planet. And like I was saying earlier, I feel like what's happening on Turtle Island right now with the indigenous people in Dakotas is in alignment with this work that we've been doing here in this series with bringing out Sekhmet but for peace, being prepared to fight, being prepared to put your life on the line to protect the water. And that's what the native people are doing. And then indigenous people from all over the world are gathering there now. And I'm looking into going. I think I'm going to go to be there on Friday. All right, then we move to the high frequency forks. We just go through the same pattern. With Djehuty and Ra. And when you're going up, you're eliminating blocks and toxins. And when you come down, you're manifesting what you want to create. Spiraling up and cascading down. Removing any blocks to using my creativity to express divine intelligence. Removing blocks from anyone having issues expressing themselves with their creativity. Eliminating any blocks to seeing the beauty path. Maintaining my vision. Staying in the vibration of my vision. Using my divine intelligence to manifest the life I want, the life I love. And the love that we have for the land, the love that we have for the people and the water and the purification of all things, that intelligence will guide us as well. And then we have our time with Sekhmet. Having the courage to speak the truth, Sekhmet upholds, defends, protects the truth, Ma'at. Standing for righteousness and truth. Balance in our environment, balance in harmony with the world. Not bulldozing through people's ancestral remains. Like, who does that? Really, who does that? What kind of creatures live that way and think that that's humane? Ridiculous thing. Oh, and then back to HetHeru, because it's a wonderful world. Seeing the gift in the adversity, seeing the beauty of everyone coming together, seeing the victory, seeing the bulldozers going home, everyone going back to their families. The water is safe. Okay, I'm going to have a little goddess energy here at the end. I've set in my eyes. All right. That was good. I also wanted to do a little with the chimes. This is a prayer for our prayers for the people who are taking up the fight to protect the water. All right, that was nice. And, you know, I can't blame everything on Mercury Retrograde, but sometimes I don't understand this thing. Okay. All right. Obviously wants me to keep the camera open. Okay, I'll keep the camera open. All right. Keep the camera. Okay, so that was the healing session for today, and so now we have a minute to talk about what's coming up next. Reggae Wellness is happening. We started the plans for the next event in July 22nd, the Rio Grande rafting site on the Rio Grande River in Port Antonio. And we have a wonderful website. We've got a lot of articles that are in the works to promote reggae wellness. We've got some wellness products that are going to be available at the website, and also coaching. We're going to be starting some coaching for people who are ready to transition into a more wellness vibration, more higher vibration of wellness. And we're going to be going over these 8 principles here each week or each month. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, we have the wonderful KemeTones Level 1 Certification and Retreat coming up January 8th to 16th, 2017 in Portland, Jamaica. This is where we'll be staying. It's just a few minutes from the beach. It's a short drive. It's a few minutes hike to the beach. A short drive to the Blue Lagoon. 5 or 10 minutes, we're in town. And I'm really looking forward to this year's retreat. It's going to be up level. Last year was our first one. This year it's going to be even better. We're hoping to spend some time in Maroon Country, Moortown, and of course in the week at Rebel Salute. Here's a picture of the Blue Lagoon. I can get the water to go. Yep. Anyway, here is the image of the Blue Lagoon. Should be able to get the little video going, but it's not working right now. Yeah, so the famous Blue Lagoon, which is really a tourist site, but it's still beautiful water, and there's a beautiful place where the water comes out the side of the mountain. There's a little pool over to the side that tourists don't spend a lot of time in. And yeah, it's going to be great. And we're going to be having the next retreat preview webinar next Wednesday at 5 o'clock, same place as you're on this call, for those who are interested in becoming certified. And I'm really excited. Something is not happening. There we go. I'm really excited to be launching the Open Money Flow program. Oh, I have the wrong website here. This is the Secret Money Flow. This is the free ebook you can download with 4 tips to help you on your journey to unlock your flow. It's possibly related to trauma, past life, ancestors, parents, environment. It may not have anything to do with you today. It might be something that's blocking your root chakra. So these are some tools for unlocking your flow. And then I'm really excited, starting on September 21st with the fall equinox, we are going to begin our 40-day journey to open our money flow. It's going to be following the 40-day prosperity plan and a treasure chest full of tools, tips, techniques, processes, systems, protocols that have helped me personally, that have allowed me to open my money flow. My money flow, I'll open it up for a while, and then just like Sekhmet, I'll forget to do my spiritual practices, my healing work on myself, and then my flow will stop, and I'll be like, what happened? And I have to come back and start over. So this is the type of thing, if we can get it going consistently in your life, then your flow will never have to close. So the program will start with day 1 on September 21st, but day 0 will be on September 20th, where we'll have like some instructions and guidelines. So if you're ready to sign up for this right away, you can sign up here at tachia.leadpages.co/openmoneyflow. Or if you're still not sure, you can just download the ebook, which is at tachia.com. Well, okay, I have a website. I have a web page with all these links. That's right. Yes, if you go to this web page at tachia.com/openmoneyflow, you can learn more about the programs. And then here you can actually sign up for the program to open your money flow, which starts on September 21st with the fall equinox. So these are things that are coming up, and I'm very grateful for all 3 of them. Let me see if there's any questions. I know there's some people that are, you know, they're joining in and then they're getting booted out. That happened to me also. So don't worry, the replay is being recorded, and you'll be able to watch the replay. Great. So yes, if there's no questions at this time, then we'll transition into the meditation. And tonight's meditation is taken from the Glorious Light meditation, which is from the which is a part of the story of HetHeru and Djehuty. It's a part of the teachings of the Glorious Light meditation. So next week we'll go into the actual practice of it, but I wanted to get through the 4 parables today. So we got through the 4 parables, and so now we're going to just have an introduction to this meditation, and then next week we will talk more about it and how to apply all these teachings to your life. Like, you know, I've been sharing my life story, my experience, and I hope that's of help to you. Okay, so with this chant, it's a chant that goes along with it, with this meditation. It's a HeKau. And HeKau is a divine word, okay? So when you're doing this meditation practice, You start out by reciting this HeKau 4 times out loud, verbally, and then 4 times internally, where you don't say anything, you just think it. And actually, you can just keep thinking it through the whole time of the meditation. You don't say anything. Or you may go to a space where you're not thinking at all, which is the goal. And then I'll bring you back to remind you to keep repeating it internally. And then we'll end it reciting it together 4 times verbally. Let me get my clock so I can keep track of the time. Whew. Okay, so it's 6:38. So normally you would do the meditation for 15 minutes, but we're just going to do it for 5 minutes. And I should have some music playing. Let's see if I can get something up here quickly. Just give me a second. I have jazz music on here. It's on my music is on my iPad, not my cell phone. But I do have something we can listen to. Let me find it. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm just going to have one available for when you're ready. Okay? So first you repeat after me. Well, let me tell you it tells you what it means here. But in case you're listening in on the audio, it's Nuk HeKau. Nuk means I am. HeKau is divine word. Nuk Ra Aku. I am the glorious spirit of Ra. Aku is spirit or divine light. Nuk Ba Ra. I am the soul of Ra. Ba means soul. And then Nuk HeKau. I am divine word. Okay? So we'll start, have this music playing softly, background. Okay. There we go. Down. So I invite you to get into a comfortable seated position. Make sure we're still there. Yeah. Okay. I invite you to get into a comfortable seated position, either with your legs crossed, seated on the floor, or in a chair with your back straight. In either case, with your feet firmly, in the chair with your feet firmly planted on the ground, in either case, keep your back straight. Take a few deep breaths together. Inhale. Slowly allow your abdominal air to expand. And exhale, releasing all the tension and pressures and negativity. Again, inhaling. And exhale. Okay, so the way this works is you take a breath, you inhale, and then on the exhalation, you recite the mantra. And then when you inhale, you're silent. When you exhale, you recite the mantra. When you inhale, you can recite it silently. Exhale, you recite the mantra. Okay? Now since we're doing it together, it's call and response. So when I'm reciting the mantra, you should be inhaling. Okay? So it's call and response. So I'll begin. I'm inhaling. Nuk HeKau, Nuk Ra Aku, Nuk Ba Ra, Nuk HeKau. And now you recite. Nuk HeKau, Nuk Ra Aku, Nuk Ba Ra, Nuk HeKau. Nukeka nukra aku nukwara nukeka. Nukeka nukra aku nukwara nukeka. Now recite the mantra silently. And we'll have a meditation for 5 minutes. Now I invite you to remain in the sacred space for as long as you can. And I will not make this a long outro. I'll just leave you with a dance. Okay.